So what happens to parents who kill their child's abuser in prison? Well, what do you think happens? They send them to prison. That's the system we live in. Look at Gary from Louisiana. His son was kidnapped by a karate instructor, taken halfway across the country, put in a hotel. And in this video, you see Gary posted up on the phone, pretending like he's Mr. Magoo, turns around, blasts him. Ultimately, someone screams, "Gary, why?" Gary, why? Let's see. The man had kidnapped, molested, and did the worst of the worst to his son. And his words were, "What would you do?" For real. He ended up getting 5 years in prison and a 7-year suspended sentence. And when they talked to him on his deathbed, when he was dying in 2014, they said, "Mr. Blaché, do you regret what you did?" "Absolutely not. You don't fuck with my kid." That was almost 20 years later. And guess what? It turns out the karate instructor had a history. That's why you can never trust anybody around your children. Do your research. It doesn't matter. Just like in prison, how we could pull your paperwork and it's mandatory. We know if you have any fucked up charges before you can even come around anybody, eat, even come out of your cell. That's how y'all have to treat these motherfuckers out here. It's sad but true. Now, this next one is an all-around tragedy. One of my favorite fighters and just human beings is Cain Velasquez, one of the greatest heavyweight MMA, UFC champions to ever fight in MMA. Father, role model, helps up-and-coming fighters, even does a lot for the community. Didn't forget where he came from, helps a lot of people he grew up with, giving them jobs. And this just goes to show you that these predators, they don't give a fuck. They will go after anybody and everybody. He went after one of the greatest heavyweight fighters of all times. He could pretty much kill 99.9% of the world with his bare hands. And this man molested his son over 40 some odd times. Now, Cain did the right thing. Like I always say, call the cops, do what you got to do, handle your business. And like always, the system puts the parents, puts the offenders, puts us all in a position where we will be going to prison for many, many decades. This was at his son's daycare. Just like the karate instructor, now it's somebody at the daycare. Find out it's been happening over 50, 60, 70 some odd times. They could never get a real number, seeing that it's a 4-year-old, 5-year-old child. But one is more than enough. So Cain did the right thing. He didn't want to leave his kids and just go kill them. Just like we hear time and time again, he recalls them. They arrest the guy and he's out on bond. Now, not only is he out on bond, this chomo, but they don't even put a restraining order, an injunction, anything. They don't even tell Cain that this man is out and he's right back at the daycare. So what do you think a father is going to do when the man that has viciously been molesting his child is just let back out on the street, back around kids, as his mother is the owner of the daycare? No injunction to protect his child. And you see right here, he just snaps. You know, he said he pulled up to the daycare. He could not believe what he saw, that this guy was there. And he chased him down, unloaded, ultimately hit the father, and unfortunately the chomo lived. Now, Cain Velasquez is facing up to 45 years in prison. He might get anywhere from 10 to 20 as he pleaded no contest, which means basically you're saying whatever it is, it's like an Alfred P. You have enough to say I'm guilty, but it's enough to say I'm not going to admit I'm guilty because I don't want to get sued later on, but you have more than enough evidence. I won't go to trial. I plead guilty, and he can't get sued later on. It's just the fact that they put parents in these situations over and over again. And when we do the right thing, this is what happens. Imagine being a father and finding out, one, that your son got kidnapped by the karate instructor. All right, that's horrendous. But he had a history and he was just running an operation. He got permits from the city and nobody decided to look into him, you know. And it's not the father's fault, you know, because he was a trustworthy man going through a divorce, thought, hey, you know, but fuck that. You have to be just like in prison where we go through your paperwork. We look you up online. We find out every single thing about you. And look at Cain. He did the right thing. And you know what they reward him with? Letting him free, not telling him anything. They don't even put the monitor on him before he gets released from jail on bond, where they have to go and notice to the victim, which is his son and the family, obviously, because he's a minor, and put in a mandatory injunction, and he should never be back around those children at that daycare. Could you imagine as a father seeing that and knowing that your son is the only one that could put him away? It's unbelievable, y'all. Always go to war for your kids, because these agencies, these police, they will always put your children in danger. They don't give a fuck until someone gets killed or they get sued. Try to do everything the right way, but no matter what, always do it the way you feel is the right way in the end. And just recently, over there in Arkansas, a man who used to be an Indiana sheriff, deputy, worked in a jail, had a whole history of letting rapes happen to former female inmates and not reporting them, putting them in such compromising positions, got fired for weird activity in Indiana, goes to Kentucky, kidnaps a 14-year-old girl, gets caught, is charged with rape and stalking and all this shit on a minor, gets out within 2 weeks. Father finds out, okay, what the fuck's going on? Oh, I'll tell you what's going on. His daughter's missing, and the 67-year-old dude, ex-sheriff, has her in the car. He calls the police and they say, wait. What they mean is, wait to see if your daughter gets hurt before we do anything. Fuck that. He unloads the clip and takes the fucking chomo piece of shit out. But they never alerted him. They never told him anything. You know what they did after he saved his daughter's life from this dude that was probably going to rape her again and most likely kill her because that's the only witness? I mean, just imagine these sick fucks had enough just demented demonic behavior to get out and go after the same victim again. Or the other person goes after one of the craziest fighters, strongest barehanded fighters ever to exist in the history of MMA, and molest the kid 40 times. They don't give a fuck. The only ones that can ever get justice is the parents. And if that doesn't happen, it's the convicts. That's why we go through the paperwork so much, because we see this shit all the time. Like I tell you guys all the time, 1 in 4 inmates were sexually assaulted when they were children. And usually that's what leads to suicides or homicides or real reckless, crazy behavior. And then they see a chomo in there. What do you think's gonna happen? Stay out, stay free, us.